You ever have a morning that just punches you right in the gut before you even put on shoes? Yeah, that was me at 6 a.m. standing barefoot on my porch, coffee steaming in my hand, thinking I'd finally made it to the peaceful, simple life I'd always dreamed about. But instead of quiet or birdsong, what I got was the thunder of boots on gravel, angry voices bouncing off the pine trees, and this absolute banshee of a woman shrieking, "Open this gate, you're blocking community access." I mean, my first thought was, is this a prank? But nope, it was just the opening act. So there I am, blinking in the morning fog, and there's Amanda Klein, Queen Bee of the local HOA, looking like she's about to start a revolution, points her French manicured finger at my chest. Whole crowd behind her phones out filming somebody else slapping a neon violation notice on my door. I almost laughed out loud. It was so surreal it hurt. But I just said, as calm as you please, "You folks are trespassing on private land." She comes back with, "We own this mountain and the law will crush you." Now, I'm not going to lie right then. I realized my plan for a peaceful, solitary life had just exploded. This was war, and I was suddenly the only person on the right side of the front line. What none of them realized, not even for a second, is why this place was even here, or who they were actually messing with. See, just the night before, I'd been sitting in this same spot watching the mist rise over the treetops, loving the silence. Not a car horn, not a neighbor peeking over the fence, just wind in the cedars and the slow kind of freedom that makes you remember why you fight so hard to get away from city noise and all those suffocating friendly faces. I'd bought this land with every penny I had, finally owned something that was just mine. Every nail, every stone, every damn bird that landed on the railing felt like proof I'd started over. But then bam, 100 strangers marching up my driveway, Amanda leading the charge, shoes sinking in mud, launching into her little speech about community harmony like she's some kind of royalty delivering decrees from a plastic throne. Her flock all nodding along, gripping their travel mugs like they're holy relics, acting as if just being united makes any of this real. Meanwhile, I'm standing there, hair sticking up, still in my pajamas, thinking, is this a hidden camera show? Did I accidentally walk into a reality TV shoot? It's weird, that feeling when logic meets lunacy. You just know I'm about to be the main character in a story that's not gonna end politely. Instead of getting mad, I just started smiling, slow, deliberate, and asked Amanda where exactly she thought her authority began. She scoffed, told me her HOA ruled the whole valley, my driveway, my front gate, heck, even my fireplace smoke was under their jurisdiction. Unauthorized solitude and offensive independence, she called it. You can't make this stuff up. The crowd behind her starts mumbling, egging her on, like they're all rehearsing a community theater show and nobody gave me the script. But here's the thing, this wasn't about land. This was about control. Same hunger for dominance that made me run from my last neighborhood. And the real punchline, all their threats, all their grandstanding, they didn't know I had every single legal document, land survey deed, tucked away in my safe, drawn up, before their precious HOA even existed. So while Amanda's up there threatening me with total destruction, I'm already picturing her face when the truth finally catches up. So what'd I do? Set my mug down on the porch rail, stepped forward just enough to quiet the crowd, and told them, "You have 1 minute to leave before this becomes a legal nightmare you'll never forget." Amanda laughs, waves me off like a fly. But let me tell you, arrogance, walking into its own doom, is a beautiful thing. Sun's coming up, casting gold over their angry faces, and for the first time, I don't want solitude, I want clarity. I want justice. I want the kind of courtroom reckoning that gets whispered about for years. The crowd eventually trickles back down the driveway, tire tracks in the mud, muttering about lawsuits. I watch them go, knowing this is nowhere near finished. Amanda's not the type to give up. People like her, they regroup, come back stronger, louder, dumber. And sure enough, later that day, she's at it again, sending out alerts, emails, posting in every group she can find. According to Amanda, I'm some kind of lone wolf troublemaker disrupting shared harmony, putting everyone at risk. But the more she talked, the more her story spun out of control. The folks who'd marched up here started texting me, some angry, some apologetic, all of them just as desperate to believe the loudest voice in the room. Meanwhile, I pull out my thick folder of land records, review every diagram, every signature, every historic note. It's all crystal clear. This land is mine, untouched by any HOA fantasy. Truth doesn't need drama, it just needs patience. The next day, Amanda and a smaller crew come stomping up the path, this time with laminated paperwork, homemade badges, and the kind of confidence only pure delusion can buy. She's waving her rule book, declaring a 30-day compliance review like she's handing down a verdict from Mount Olympus. I just nod, hold up my own stack of legal papers, and say, "None of your rules apply here." You could see the flicker of doubt cross her face, but it's gone in a second, replaced with more righteous outrage. Let me back up a sec, because here's the twist. Turns out, Amanda's little crusade isn't just about community standards. As I start digging through old county records, I find out this exact plot of land was once targeted by developers for a hillside resort. They tried to seize it, failed, and Amanda's HOA. They were in on it. So this isn't about footpaths or neighborly love, it's a land grab, plain and simple. And the villain in their story is just the last guy standing in the way. The following days, things get weirder. Amanda's crew shows up with tape measures and clipboards, acting like they're code enforcers. They tramp across my flower beds, poke around my firewood, slap a laminated inspection notice on my porch. She narrates the whole thing for her phone like she's shooting the pilot for Real Housewives of Nowhere, USA. Meanwhile, I just document everything, call the sheriff, and wait. And man, when the sheriff finally rolls up, the energy just drains right out of Amanda's gang. Suddenly, nobody wants to answer questions about jurisdiction. The officer reads the deeds, takes one look at Amanda, and flat out tells her she has no right to be here. Her followers start to scatter, muttering about overreach, and Amanda for the first time looks genuinely rattled. But did she back off? Of course not. She takes it online, fires up the community message boards, posts my address everywhere, tries to paint me as some unhinged hermit with a vendetta against shared values. Flyers get delivered door to door with my name at the top, warning folks about my dangerous behavior and refusal to cooperate. It's a smear campaign, pure and simple. But here's where the cracks show. Neighbors start whispering, wondering if maybe Amanda's gone too far. One day, this sweet old couple stops by on their walk. You can see they're nervous, but curious. They ask if I'm really as dangerous as Amanda says. I just smile, tell them the coffee's hot and the birds are louder than me. You could see the relief on their faces and the seed of doubt planted. Then out of nowhere, I get a call from an anonymous resident. She's shaking, nervous, asks me not to use her name, says she has documents, screenshots, messages proving Amanda's been conspiring with outside developers to push me out. Not just bending rules, flat out breaking them. She sends over everything: contracts, emails, even recordings from private HOA meetings. And suddenly it all makes sense. Amanda doesn't just want me gone. She wants this land for herself, for her friends, for whatever big money plans got shut down before. By the time my attorney gets involved, it's not just harassment, it's conspiracy. We draft counterfilings, harassment, property damage, impersonation, emotional distress. Amanda gets served, and the look on her face when the official notice lands in her hand, worth every sleepless night. As we roll into the first court date, Amanda's army has shrunk to a handful of loyalists. Inside, there's no audience, no applause, just the cold order of law. My attorney lays out the evidence: trespassing, threats, collusion. Amanda tries to perform to twist the facts, but her words start to fall apart. The judge doesn't buy any of it. Warnings go out not to me, but to her and the HOA as a whole. Suddenly, folks who once cheered for Amanda start sliding away, whispering apologies, wondering how they ever fell for the performance. The HOA starts falling apart. Committee members resign, reforms are announced, and Amanda's power shrinks by the hour. At the final hearing, the judge rules Amanda's out. The HOA has to pay damages and face external review. When she leaves the courthouse, there's nobody left behind her, just the sound of reality settling in. Standing on my porch that evening watching the sky go from violet to dark, I didn't feel triumph. I felt peace. No one remembered Amanda's speeches, just the truth that finally came out, that sometimes all it takes to stop a bully is patience, paperwork, and refusing to back down. The neighbors that once avoided my eyes now nod when they pass by. The mountain, silent and steady, seems to breathe a little easier. I spent the next weeks quietly restoring what was damaged, repainting the gate, replanting the flowers, breathing in the silence I came here for. And maybe for the first time, the community started talking about real respect, real boundaries. Not control, but trust. Even got a handwritten note tucked under my porch one morning from that anonymous whistleblower. Just a quiet thanks for standing my ground. Amanda. She's a cautionary tale now, not a leader. Her name pops up only as a warning about what happens when ego trumps decency. The HOA, for its part, rewrites the rules to make sure nothing like this can ever happen again. And the land, well, it's more than mine. Now, I worked with the county, turned that disputed ridge into a protected wildlife sanctuary, something that'll last longer than any argument ever could. So that's the story. Started with a bang, nearly broke me, but in the end it gave me and everyone else here a shot at something better. I still wonder what would have happened if I'd just given in, if I'd let Amanda and her crowd push me out. But then I look at the land, at the quiet that's finally settled over the trees, and I know the answer. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you defend, sometimes quietly, sometimes all the way to court. So let me ask you, what would you have done? When power pretends to be justice, when the crowd gets loud, when the truth is quieter than the lies, where do you stand? I'd love to hear your take on justice, on boundaries, on your own wild run-ins with community leaders. Drop a comment, share your stories. Because if there's one thing I learned, it's that peace is only real when enough of us care to protect it.